All right, we're good.
All right, I'd like to call the school committee meeting to order for May 26, 2026. If we could all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of a chair, the vice chair or secretary runs the meeting, and I've been asked to run the meeting, so that's what's happening tonight. The school committee meeting will be in person for school committee members and the public. A remote option will remain available for community members unable to attend in person. Join from a Mac, PC, iPad, iPhone, or Android device. Please click the link to join. This meeting of the Falmouth School Committee is being recorded in accordance with Massachusetts Open Meeting Law. Anyone who wishes to make an audio or video recording of this meeting must first notify the chair or the acting chair, that's me. Please raise your hand and make your presence known if you intend to record the meeting. Okay. Do we have anybody for student advisory? No. Is Bella not here? Not here, not tonight. Okay. And I see no one for public comment. Did anyone change their mind after the paper was pulled? Seeing none, we'll take an update from the superintendent.
Thank you. So I don't know if you have noticed the beds around the flagpole, right down here, the Teaticket Park. But on Saturday, May 16th, the Rotary International Day of Service, the Rotary cleaned the beds, they planted bulbs, and they added the flags for Memorial Day. And so it looks very pretty, some of the nicest we've seen in quite some time. So very happy that we had that. They also planted flowers around the East Falmouth elementary flagpole, cleaned up their front garden bed, and painted some tables. And they cleaned up the grounds at Mullen Hall and Morse Pond. Those were the requested schools for help, and so they came out and did that. So thank you very much to the Falmouth Rotary. On May 16th, Opal Walk also took place. We had a good turnout, and so it was fun to meet new community members and take the walk. Along the path, Morse Pond, No Place for Hate group and the Lawrence students, they made signs that the community could read along the walk, and it was about why Opal made the 2.5-mile walk for justice. So it was a good day, beautiful day, and the students did a great job. Last Monday, we had legislators breakfast. We had 2 school committee members that attended. Thank you very much. And we had Representative Moakley attended as our representative, along with others across the Cape. The key talking points this year was Chapter 70 funding, the special education out of district funding, transportation, and declining enrollment. All things that we have in common across the Cape and Islands. Several districts had to go out for overrides this year, and that was shared. And then other districts that are potentially looking for overrides in the next year or two. So it is, the funding issues are really hitting across Cape and Islands. It's really hitting across Massachusetts, but we were able to have breakout sessions and talk about that, so that was good. Last Thursday, the Falmouth High School Honor Society held their annual ceremony for the students who left us much too soon. It was a beautiful memorial. We had students that did readings. The Falmouth High School repertory singers sang the road home and the planting of the flowers with the families who were present in our garden. So it was very beautiful. But it's a beautiful tradition for Falmouth. I'm so glad we continue that. Today I opened up my inbox and it said congratulations. And I was like, wow, that's always a good news, right? So it was from Mass Department of Environmental Protection. they announced Green Team Awards for environmental leadership in pre-K to 12 schools. So this is what they said about Mullen Hall. The Mullen Hall School Green Team, led by Shannon Carlson, participated in school-wide composting, recycling, and reuse programs that reduced the volume of trash and diverted 250 pounds of food scraps to compost each month. The Green Team then incorporated the fresh compost into their on-site garden beds, which serve as a learning space for all to enjoy on campus. So that was very nice to open up. They are going to receive a $250 gift card. And just in May, in 2 weeks, this is pretty phenomenal here, 611 pounds of scrap just these past 2 weeks that went to compost. I want to give a shout out to Principal Rosa Moran because they've been working on this for a few years. So she also contributed greatly to the success of the school. And then Shannon stepped right in and just took it to a new level. Also a shout out to Rose. She's continuing her work at East Falmouth. And for the first year, the Mass DEP also recognized the 4th grade Green Team at East Falmouth as an impressive award, and they will be receiving Earth Day stickers. So, and at the high school, I don't know how many of you were able to go see Legally Blonde, the spring musical, but I have to tell you, Adeline Birmingham, she's a junior, was a fantastic Elle Woods. Her voice just was spectacular. The whole show was just meant for her. It was great. But the entire cast, as always, gave an outstanding performance. Moving on to sports. The sports tennis finished the regular season undefeated, 16-0. They're in the playoffs. That begins Thursday. They are in the 7th seed in Division III. Girls tennis finished their season with a 12-4 record and are 9th seed. They play their first playoff on Friday. Girls lacrosse finished the regular season 12-6, and they are 12th seed. Their first playoff game is Wednesday. Boys lacrosse finished the regular season 16-3, and baseball finished 14-4, and both teams are in the postseason tournament. So very exciting. Good spring. Tomorrow is a big day here. We have Clipper Community Game Day, and I'm going to turn it over to Sandy so she can talk about Clipper Community Game Day.
So tomorrow, we're going to have an exciting event at the high school from 9:30 to 1 o'clock. We're going to have approximately 75 of our students from pre-K to high school competing, I shouldn't say competing necessarily, because we're going to have cooperative games too, but we're going to have games like a field day for all of our students who may have participated in unified sports if they have them at their school or not. So we're going to open the day with the honor guard, and then, as I said, we're going to have some cooperative games. We're going to have relays, parachute. We have a lot of peer mentors, not only from the high school, but also from the elementary school, so we'll be assisting the students in participating in the games. So we also have a dunk tank that we have some high school peer mentors that actually really advocated for, so they're excited to be doing that. We have an art activity, so hopefully something for everyone. So really excited about this. Our special education building administrators helped pull the event together. We have t-shirts for everyone, so we're pretty excited about it. Come by if you like to.
Thank you, Sandy. My other updates will come through the agenda items as we get through.
Great.
Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions? All right. In my haste to start the meeting on time, I forgot to welcome Nick and Jane tonight. So please forgive me, but let's welcome Nick and Jane, and welcome back, Susan. Next up, we have a presentation by FEF.
Okay, hi.
Hi, Ellen. This is Ellen Hewitt.
Here.
And
So I have our most recent impact report for you to have as a souvenir. So exciting. I'll have some for you folks too.
Yep.
And just roll away in the chair there. So first I want to thank you all a lot for giving me this opportunity to talk about FEF. the partnership that we have with the district and with the school is very, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is very important to us. And I'm gonna, I mean, a lot of this I think people may already know, but I'm just going to speak to it just to make sure. So since 2006, FEF has awarded over $1.9 million to innovative project grants within the school system. That equals over 900 projects in growing. So that's very exciting. And the aim of it really, when it was founded in 2005, was to be able to ensure that budget restraints were not the reason for innovative teaching to happen within the classroom. And that is happening. So we supplement, we don't make up the budget or anything in terms of the public budget, but we supplement it. So the 2025-26 school year, FEF awarded 31 project grants totaling $104,471, covering diverse areas such as author visits and social emotional curricula. And that equal, we have new project grants, continuing project grants, and mini grants. So in terms of the new project grants, it was 15 new and 16 continuing. And the continuing are based on new projects that were successful and have an innovative or a way to build capacity, new ways of learning and activities that they learned from the previous year. So it's really a capacity building effort. So this year, 2026, 27, and those of you who were at the last school meeting probably saw the school committee meeting, saw the list of the different projects that we're funding. And that was exciting. So there's 31, again, for both full or partial funding. And made a total of 125,930. So we're really proud of the impact, proud in terms of our relationship with the teachers and students and administrators who make this happen. So what I want to do is to take some words from two teachers and one from a student that talked about the impact of the grants for themselves. They do a much better job than I do. So the first one is about the music technology grant that provided modern workstations at the Lawrence School. And so Eileen Cava is the teacher who provided this information for me. She's the music teacher and the choir director. So these are Eileen's words. The music technology grant has transformed the 7th and 8th grade general music program at Lawrence School by creating a more engaging and hands-on learning environment for students. Through FEF support, all students enrolled in the 7th and 8th grade music classes now have access to modern individual music technology workstations with large display screens that support learning and performance on the ukulele, guitar, and piano keyboard, and a variety of musical styles, including pop, rock, blues, and jazz. The technology also strengthens instruction in music production, recording, and creative composition projects, while giving students opportunities to explore their musical creativity through songwriting, digital music projects, and collaborative music-making activities. These resources have increased student engagement, confidence, independence, and creativity by allowing every student to actively participate in making, performing, and creating music. The next one I'm going to talk about is from Tara Draper. And Tara is the K-6 library and computer science teacher and department coordinator at East Falmouth Elementary School. And she has been a long-term recipient of different grants through FEF. She does amazing work. The Falmouth Education Foundation, these are Tara's words. The Falmouth Education Foundation has been an integral support of the East Falmouth Elementary School library and makerspace. Without their support, I would not be able to provide the experiences and materials that all East Falmouth students take part in on an almost daily basis. Thanks to FEF, our makerspace provides a wide variety of materials that are accessible to students of all ages and abilities, providing them the opportunity to participate in hands-on creative independent learning. Additionally, East Falmouth students have had the amazing opportunity to be visited by two Caldecott Honor winning illustrators, Cherry Moe and Christopher Denise. These instantly became core memories for all of our students, as evident by how often they are spoken about throughout the school year. She says, FEF supports students and school communities of Falmouth, no matter how small or how large the dream or grant might be. And that was like really great to hear, because that's really what we want to fund, are the dreams. You know, because the budget takes care of the basics really, and what needs to happen with the dreams, that's what's really key. So whenever that gets mentioned from a teacher or students, that's what we want, that's validated. So the next one, I want to talk about the Regal Seagulls. They are very exciting. So in here, you see a description of their first year. And they have done amazing, I'm sure most of you know, work that they've done in just 2 years. So because they recently competed in Houston, in the World Championships, very exciting. And the success was made possible through the support of sponsors like FEF. They had other support as well, but we contributed quick, and we're so wanting to. So it's amazing what they produced in just 2 years. And so, as you may know, they were interviewed, 2 of the students were interviewed on GBH, all things considered. And so I thought what I would do is I would pull out a piece of the interview that Ethan Primitier did during his interview as a way, so we have a student perspective as well. So this is Ethan. The differences between, and he's speaking from Houston, he's being interviewed there in Houston. That sounds pretty interesting. The differences between this year and last year. We really weren't expecting to have as many resources as we did, as many mentors and support as we did. So we really had access to all of that thanks to sponsors like Falmouth Education Foundation, Falmouth Public Schools, our wonderful mentors, and the dedication of all our team members. It's been a dream for me. This is nothing less than exactly what we should have in every public school, in every school system, really. So those are I wanted to, you see the impact within their stories and the breadth, and the Regal Seagulls are a good example of a continuing grant, you know, so that they did really great work the first year. And then, although I knew they had done some things before, we gave them money to build up for that. And then just what they were able to accomplish within that year with the support from the whole community, you know, that we're grateful to be a part of. So looking ahead, we have this Thursday, the grantee reception. And the grantee reception is when all the folks who are getting awards for the 25-26 school year get formally recognized that yes, you got the grant, and also we celebrate their innovation and their dream. The next season for the mini grants are $350 grants that happen within the school year, that if something comes up that the teacher thinks, oh my gosh, I really want to do this, but I didn't think of it before this moment, then they apply, and when it fits, which it almost always does, they get that. So that's it'll start up again in September, the year is really ending now. And then the applications for the 2027 grants will be open in January, and then in April is when the decisions we bring the information to you and then formalize the decision, and then we have the grantee reception and you go again the next year. So thank you so much for everything that you do, and I don't have anything else to say that prepared you for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Ellen? Oh, Ellen, please come back, we have a question.
Please come back.
No.
I don't have a question, but we cannot thank you enough.
True
What
story.
you do for, like I said last time, but I say again, what you do for our students is just so wonderful. Our teachers and our students benefit greatly, and it is such an asset and a privilege to have the work that you do. Thank you.
No, thank you, Margaret, I appreciate that.
If I may, if anybody else wanna say anything? No? Oh, please, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I'm a teacher and I've been associated with 3 other school districts. Never has any kind of support like this been my experience in other school districts. And it's amazing the generosity that you show, and it's also a testament to the support of the community.
Yes, it
So
is.
thank you for your work.
You're welcome. I mean, the community support is really amazing. So for example, there's someone who knew about the work that was happening with the Beagle Seagulls and spoke to Carmela and wanted to have a significant donation made directed towards them. I mean, that's the kind of support that we, I mean, we're all in this, right? So when we see that kind of reinforcement, it makes it all worth it. So,
Jane?
So for my first night, this was a wonderful
oh,
presentation, so I appreciate it. And as a former principal, I'm always happy when someone else has one.
right.
That's important for teachers to see, so I appreciate that. But I think for me, as an administrator, Ms. Bourne has a similar program, but, you know, we're kind of like the poor stepchildren in terms of the amount of money that we raise, which is amazing. So, I think what's wonderful for the teachers is that they have an opportunity to make those standards come alive, curriculum
Yeah.
standards. And it's really in these types of activities where students make meaning about what the teachers are trying to teach them. And they wouldn't be able to do without this kind of support and subsidy, so
That's
thank you.
beautifully said, thank you. That's our intention.
I've been on many an FEF-funded field trip. So I've seen the amazing work that FEF does in real time, and to see the educators come up with ideas and apply for grants or mini grants in the moment, and then watch how it unrolls with the students, and then seeing the students what their product is back, whether it be, you know, art students and going to New York City. I feel like that's the most recent one.
Yeah.
Like that, it's so impressive, and we are, to echo some of my other colleagues at the table, we're so lucky in Falmouth. And I really don't think that people realize how lucky that we truly are, and how special FEF is. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. We appreciate you.
I'm so glad I came to. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the presentation of the capital plan.
So before you got the updated plan, this is draft, of course. We'll present tonight, and then we will bring back for a vote in June. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul. We're really focused on the October 2026 town meeting section. But he will also speak about the November and the April, I'm sure.
Okay, so I just, if we can, just to make sure everybody has the right sheets, if you look at the total amount, it's $1,655,000, the total amount. And I'm just gonna walk you down from the top there. The first one we're asking for is $800,000. That is to enclose the skylight at the field house that has been leaking, I think, from the day it was put in, 1973. So we're finally gonna have that enclosed with some lighting that gives some sense that it's actually a skylight, so it doesn't, you don't lose that lighting that comes in through it. But it will be able to with the constant problem we're not facing with it leaking all the time. And are having to cancel games in that field house. So that would be, that's been studied, would come November, and then the construction would happen sometime in 27, a year from this summer. Okay. And then dropping down, really these next requests are all system-wide. The first line is the cameras. I mentioned before, we had an article in April for $250,000. The cameras were $100,000 there. We're adding another $100,000. We are largely both replacing older cameras that, you know, some of these cameras have been purchased before 2013. We have to bring them up because they don't have sufficient software to be part of the new system, so we're replacing those cameras. But as part of the safety and security measures that we've taken, We are adding cameras so we get higher resolution, especially in the areas like parking lots, playing fields, and so on, so that we can identify individuals as they come on more clearly onto the grounds of the school. So this component would be roughly $100,000. We've continued to do that. We've evaluated every single school as we went on to this new camera platform. And then now we're prioritizing amongst schools how to phase in both the April article and this article, if we see this funding. Doors is, we have this on the article on the capital program every year. This is just replacement or repair of doors, roughly, every school door is roughly $10,000. So we go through every school and replace doors as the normal wear and tear occurs. As there are gaps between the double doors closing, gaps or is there rust on the bottom of the door, which is frequently because of rain and snow, we end up by taking them out and replacing it. So that's just an ongoing effort that we maintain. The next, as well as flooring repairs, again, across the district. So we evaluate throughout the year each school, replace older tiles, distribute these projects, I think, pretty fairly, so that, every school gets some work done at their schools to improve the conditions of the tiling in their buildings. And then the next article down is van purchases. This is roughly 2 vans for this year. As you may know, we've been, 2 van purchases, we've been buying 1 electric, 1 gas. The electric van that we purchased this year was last November's article, is being delivered soon, and then in the next couple of weeks. But that van will be used on the special education route. So the first time it will be actively used within the busing system during the year, and we're doing that to test to see if it can do 3 runs a day in a year. And if we're successful with that, we'll keep building up the vans using electric buses as opposed to gas vans. And the final article is $150,000, and that's replacement of essentially our district-wide telephones, systems to do it under one provider. They're now moving so that Verizon will no longer be support the copper wires that are going into the buildings. They're getting out of that. So we'll look to a cloud-based solution that will handle our phone lines. There are also requirements that we have now phones in every single room, as opposed to just in the main rooms of the buildings. So that $150,000 will cover that, and then upgrade the PA systems we need. So the total amount is $1,655,000. That will be on the capital plan. This August, we'll apply for CPC funding for a major playground renovation. We're in the process of evaluating that. We will likely, once we apply in August, the interview in the fall, make a decision, and then it comes up for April town meeting is the final step of that. So that's the $500,000, and that's a recent estimate based on what we see, for example, Teaticket, the cost of that playground, and some inflationary components of it.
Does anyone have any questions?
I just have one question.
Sure.
So Paul, in terms of I understand your statement that you're trying to increase the resolution of the cameras.
Yeah.
Does it also come with increased storage capacity for this?
Yeah, so what our camera system is now cloud-based storage, so the cameras themselves will have, on-site will have 30-day storage, we'll also have another 30-day storage in the cloud. That follows our policy, but after that, we don't need beyond 30 days.
Margaret?
Yeah, I just noticed, going through the, we talked about every year the doors, the flooring. I noticed the price goes down, I've never seen prices go down. The prices go up, so I was wondering how come, you put the prices going down.
Because it's a great question. Some of the years they went down because we were conscious of, we don't know exactly when a large project or what the full dollar amount is going to be. This was and I want to emphasize it 100,000 times, this was an estimate, a ballpark estimate, that no one's done real serious math here for this number. So we're trying to be sensitive to the immediate later years by reducing some of the capital requests. But we've made pretty good headway with the flooring. So, at some point, we'll be lowering this number.
Thank you.
I have sort of the same question, because numbers change, they go up or they go down. Is that sort of the same idea for all of these categories?
Yeah.
Systems?
If you look at, for example, windows, we have double pane windows in all of our buildings today. We are gonna get into this cycle of having to replace these windows down the road. So, you'll see where we have been working on flooring in the past few years. We're gonna start working on window replacements going forward.
It was more specifically the AC projects, why the numbers are so different every year.
They were originally estimates that we received for putting in AC in the elementary schools, so we haven't changed that. However, with the project that we're about to talk about later on the geothermal pumps, there's an air conditioning component to that. So we've kept this in here, but these numbers may change as we get further towards that, depending on if we receive any other grants as well. So.
Yeah, I pulled out my warrant book from November. This past November town meeting. And the program budget in that, which again was an estimate, but that was over $2.5 million. And now we're looking at 1.6 million, so it's like a $900,000 difference. And I'm just wondering why it went down by 900,000 from basically last year to this year for FY27.
I think the big of it, if you look at under the next year's estimate for November 27 meeting, under the boiler for North Falmouth.
Yeah.
And though that's the difference, the number, so in January of this year, the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program is opening up. It opens up every 2 years. And you can submit projects for MSBA subsidy. And in the Accelerated Repair Project, you can do boilers and windows. The boilers have to be geothermal, and you can do windows as well in roofing projects. So, since we would apply in January, we wouldn't find out until October, and we would probably put it on the next following year's cycle for approval. That's why I kind of shifted it 1 year.
Okay. And a second observation is that the capital plan is a little bit, it doesn't have as much detail as some of the other departments throughout the town.
Yep.
Like, for example, I counted again, going back to November, there were 31 rows in the 10-year capital plan, which kind of sounds like a lot until you look at MES, that's Marine and Environmental Services, which is not a huge department. They probably have at least 60 rows, and the budget is much smaller. So I would encourage us to think more holistically about things that we can put into the capital request. Just because we put it on the list doesn't mean we're gonna get it. But if it's not on the list, then the finance committee tends to come and look at things and be like, well, they only added that last year, it must not have been that urgent. So the more we can pile in here, the better.
Yeah, and to that point, one of the reasons why we shifted to the approach we now take, where we have system-wide buckets, is that if we do a flooring project and we would start to name them individually, it became really difficult to transfer. If you had $50,000 for Teaticket and you had $50,000 for East Falmouth, or you had $50,000 for Mullen Hall, and one project was up money, and that is the project was $55,000, and one project was $45,000, it became difficult to transfer that as the project was live. So what we do is we ask for a pool of money, and then we spend that pool based on the estimates of how these projects cost. And it allows us much greater flexibility to attack the need as opposed to coming in with very specific projects in mind. It just gives us a bucket that, it takes us weeks to come up with all the individual estimates, and then and then to do the bidding process and so on. So assigning a pool and giving us that flexibility to allocate a project. So if we put, $50,000 in the high school, well, that may give me a little bit extra to put over at, Mullen Hall. Because we rebalance it as the new estimates come in. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, I understand, I think and I understand you don't wanna have a million little pots.
Yeah.
But there's not just the number of rows, but the total dollars, as a function of how big the schools are as a percentage of the total town budget. The capital dollar figure, the number of buildings, number of vehicles, the number of equipment, like, it's a very substantial part, and it's not fully reflected in the capital plan, I don't think. And as, I'm very concerned about the fiscal challenges ahead that the superintendent mentioned in her presentation. And I think that the more we have these challenges, funding challenges essentially in the documentation we have, the better.
No, it's a good point.
Quick question, I'm wondering if we're able to utilize the sheriff's department for the painting at any point.
It's difficult to do that, right? Just because we have so much activity going on in the schools themselves.
Okay.
So we still, oftentimes there's students in there. So.
Okay, thank you.
Linda?
Quick question about the playground, the CPC funds, the 500,000, is any of that going to be allocated for Teaticket?
No, I think Teaticket is almost completely covered at this point. We've done a phenomenal job of raising the funds. This 500,000 would be for the next project. Remember, we still have the application in for urgent funding with the CPC for 150,000 for Teaticket if we need funding.
Okay.
So urgent funding requests for CPC, they open up in April, they get decided in August. So that process, we applied in April, we decided in August, and then they go to town meeting in November for approval. So that if we needed money under the Teaticket project, that would be the CPC pool, not this 500,000.
So is this 500,000 earmarked for a single playground, and is that the one at North Falmouth?
Well, we'll have to make a choice between North Falmouth, East Falmouth, and the preschool playground at the high school. Those three.
Okay, but it will be one of the three, or it will be dispersed?
It would be one. It would be renovating one playground.
That was my question too.
Quick one, for you, what, the vans, what size passenger vans are they?
I think they're 12 or 14.
Okay, so you don't need a license to.
Yeah, no, you don't need a CDL.
And I have one more question about, I think it's similar to what Jane had said with the security cameras. Will there be additional capital funds in later years as the technology improves?
Yes, I mean, this will be, cameras are always part of our capital plan.
Okay, yeah.
But we will, especially for replacements or damages or vandalism and so on.
All right, just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Paul. Yeah.
I don't really have a comment about the budget, but more about the skylight at the high school. And anyone who knows me knows this has been coming. I'm sorry to see it go. I know that it's been leaking, I know that it's been an issue, but as somebody who's been in that school and that's the only source of light that you see during the day, sometimes when you have internal classrooms. I know that the renovation has opened up some windows. I'm disappointed. I'm sorry it's leaking, I'm sorry we can't fix it. That's kind of my only comment.
I think you'll find that the design will actually give you better quality lighting.
It's not necessarily about the light, of more of the natural light, in my opinion.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you go in there today, the material that's on there has filtered out.
I know,
getting in
it's
there.
I know, it's garbage. It's not garbage. I get it. Anyway, anyone else? No? Okay. Moving on to, thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate that was comprehensive and thank you for the chart. Very helpful. Update on sustainability projects.
So as I had sent out information last week, Falmouth was one of 9 districts that was selected. There were about 69 applications for 19 million. 9 were selected. Falmouth was awarded 5 million. So we feel very fortunate, but that doesn't happen by chance. I want to give a shout out to Paul and Stephanie Madsen, the sustainability coordinator for the town of Falmouth, and Mike, Kevin, I don't know why I did it, over at the Teaticket, because it was a lot of coordinated effort and a lot of work that went into it. So we're very fortunate. Paul's going to give a little bit of an update of what we know right now and some immediate next steps. But we know, as you remember, when we submitted the application, we submitted it for either Teaticket Elementary School or for East Falmouth Elementary School. And so in the next coming months, we'll be having to make that decision at some point. But Paul's going to give a little update on next steps.
So just quickly, so in terms of next steps, so Dr. Gore mentioned we haven't received the cash yet, but we'll be receiving $5 million. The next step in our process is we've issued an RFQ, a request for qualification, to select a partner, a vendor, to work with us on the design, the testing, design, and installation of the geothermal heat pump at either East Falmouth or Teaticket. That selection process will be done through mid-June. A number of vendors were on site touring both East Falmouth and Teaticket last week. And the next step after selection, the vendors would be applying for yet another grant, which is a testing grant. And these testing grants allow you to do the drilling at each location to test if a geothermal pump will work at those locations. Now, there are other locations like Mass Maritime that have these installed that work well, and so we don't suspect it'll be an issue, but part of the process is we have to go through and test each location to make sure that that the system can operate effectively. As you know, that the heat pump is essentially a series of pipes that are placed underneath the ground in the field of each of the buildings, and then it exchanges either heat or cool. The hot water is cooled down in the case of the summer, and then it's piped back into the building and either heats up the building or cools down the building. So drilling these testing wells is critical to, before we get into the design and installation. Once that is done, then you'll have a basis to make a decision. One of the requirements is, for the grant, is that the school remain a K through 12 school, isn't it? Some combination of those for the next 20 years. Although in the future, one of our efforts is to try to get pre-K involved in that. It's not involved in it today because that's how the legislation was originally written. So that's the next step, is to do the testing, determine which school to move forward with, and then it would likely be the summer of 2027 that the heat pumps would be actually installed. All right. So there's nothing immediate for you to decide on today, we just have to continue the effort that we've been moving. What I wanted to say is that this piece of this grant, and this was a pretty competitive market. I think when we first talked about this, I mentioned that, although I mentioned we had a pretty good chance of getting this as well, and we in fact did. But one of the reasons I think we've gotten it as a district is that we have been making progress in sustainability, substantial progress in sustainability over the last couple of years. So this summer, we'll be installing the solar canopies at the high school and at North Falmouth. Those solar canopies for North Falmouth will generate about 87% of North Falmouth's power, electrical usage rather, and it's about 15% or so of the high school's electrical usage. So those will be shovel ready this summer. And for those new to the committee, this was in a joint project with Select Energy. Select Energy actually advances the capital, they build the solar canopies, and then they charge us a fixed rate back for our electricity for the next 25 years. So they lock in the electricity rate, but electricity grows anywhere from 2.5% to 3%, the cost of electricity. So over time, over the 25 years, we'll save in that differential between what they're charging us and what the expected rate of electricity is. We'll be saving close to $2 million over the 25 years for those two projects combined. So again, this is the recent work that we're doing for East Falmouth. Our Teaticket is sort of the next chapter on what we've been progressing over the last several years on. With that, I'll let you ask questions.
I'm just wondering, I don't remember from the initial conversation when we applied for the grant, what the cost savings is anticipated will be for utilities in the building that we picked.
So this is for this particular grant, and for this project, those cost savings are fully to us, as opposed to the cost savings for the high school or Falmouth, or North Falmouth Elementary. I don't have a number for you to say what but to the extent we're reducing our natural gas bill substantially through the heat pumps, and hopefully our electricity bill is only going up a component of that, that savings will be all to our benefit, as opposed to splitting that with Select Energy, which is fronting the cost for the solar canopies. Is that right?
Thank you.
Jane?
So in terms of maintenance and repairs to the solar canopies, how is that covered?
That is covered by Select Energy, so that's their responsibility,
Yeah, okay, so there's no charge back to
no
us.
charge back.
Katrina?
So I actually was camping this weekend over in Sandwich and was with somebody who turned out to be working for Green School Grants, or Green School Works Grants, and he said, wow, the Falmouth project is really exciting and interesting, you guys are doing some cool things, and he's hoping that it'll be like what's the word, like a landmark project that they can point to and be like, here's how you do geothermal in a school. So that was exciting to hear. I know it's way down the line for choosing which school, but having just gotten that presentation on the Teaticket playground, it's totally community funded. I do hope that that remains a K through 12 or K through 4 school. And my question for you, Paul, is the location of the digging. I think I told you my dad has geothermal at their house, and that was the entire yard was a huge pit to put that in. So you have to put it under a soccer field or something?
Yeah, it would, for East Falmouth, it would go in the play field. If you look at the front of the building, the playing field to the left, because the boiler room is right there as well. And then the cost is piping that through the ground to the boiler room. For Teaticket, it probably, most likely, my guess will be behind. The Teaticket boiler room is to the right of the building.
Over by the.
And next to that is the parking area. Now, it's not to say that it can't be in that parking area, it's just would be more construction work related to it.
Okay.
So, but that's part of the design, we've talked about that, but we haven't picked a definitive location.
Yeah, I imagine for a building as large as a school, it's gonna be a big area that has to be disturbed.
That's right. And the good part about Teaticket and East Falmouth, both of them have large lots to run these pipes through.
I have a question. The geothermal, does it go underground? Are the kids losing playground space?
No.
Okay, so it's all,
Once it's done, they wouldn't even know it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's buried.
I feel like I knew that, but I also feel like I needed to ask that. Anybody else, questions? Mike?
Just one came from what you just said, Melissa. It won't affect the playgrounds, but if something goes on top of it and the pipe breaks, like, if there's a field of those geothermal tubes, are you able to put something on top of it, like a parking structure or a playground, or it's supposed to be left open for the field?
No, it would, I can't answer that question
Okay.
for parking lot, but the field, you don't have to worry about it. In other words, you can have multiple wells in the playing field. The kids it would not be a trip hazard, the wells would be permanently dug and then covered over.
I'm just saying that if there's like a leak and you had to go back and repair it, is it better it being in the field? That's the design.
Yes, it is. Yeah, sorry.
My parents have not been a problem in 20 years, so hopefully it's fine.
Anyone else? All right, great. Thank you very much, Paul, very helpful. Next, we have review and act on town meeting articles, North Falmouth project.
So we've been sharing as much as we know and can share about the North Falmouth Elementary School. I think the most important thing is that we've had two different companies and they have, the building is safe The concern is when the next snow load comes. So I just want to make that clear first. Tonight, we're really talking about funding avenues for this, and so Paul's going to share a potential special town meeting.
Yeah. So what's in front of you, I want to emphasize, is a contingency measure. It is not the expected amount, it's a contingency based on what the final insurance company coverage will be. We know it's gonna be definitely for room 40. There is a good chance it may go well beyond that. If this meeting tonight was next week sometime, we would be dealing with this very differently. The reason we need to sort of set this up is that so we can have a town meeting, get set up for a town meeting if we were to need one. But I'm trying to be cautious in what I say, but this is a contingency. We had a incredibly thorough review this weekend with an engineer and the contractor that from Maya, the insurance company. So it was, I think we're in a different state than we were prior to this weekend. So we just need to get this into the process, and then if we don't need it, we'll come back, we cancel the funding request going forward. But I think it's safe to say, without getting into details, I think that this number will change substantially by as early as next week. So we're waiting on that report.
So on Monday night, we will see it on the agenda for the select board to set a town meeting. Again, know that that's just in the queue, but it has to happen. That doesn't mean that, we may or may not need it. But if you see that next Monday, that doesn't indicate that we will need it. It's just if we don't get it in on Monday, we can't follow that process. The next step would be, if we still have not heard back the report, the select board would, on June 8th, would be making a decision about the article, and June 12th, it would be scheduled for FinCom to discuss it. We are hoping, or I should say we're very hopeful that we will know something before it starts getting down that line, but not before next Monday.
And part of this is, if I could just add one other component, we have such a short window this summer to do this. We need to get this all set up, and we can't wait for the insurance company to come back and then us take up whatever balance there may be. We have to do a parallel path here until we get a final decision from the insurance company.
I just have one question about this draft that's in front of us. In the explanation, it refers to, in addition to the above funding sources, $200,000 is being allocated from the FY26 school department operating budget. I think that this needs to be at least rewritten, because we can't spend money in FY27 that's allocated in FY26. So I think what you mean is maybe it's already been encumbered?
We would encumber it in 26 for 27, because technically the work will begin as soon as school is out. So on January 27th, they're gonna be moving in and beginning the work. So if there's any amount that we're responsible, we can encumber this now for out of our budget.
So then I guess I would just change your explanation to avoid confusion with the nitpickers, that is not being allocated from the FY '26 budget. It has been appropriated or encumbered from the FY '26 budget, just to be totally clear.
We can make that change.
So can I just ask if we're making that change, because we're gonna vote?
One, has been appropriated or encumbered from the FY '26,
Yeah, I'd say has been appropriated from
appropriated.
the FY '26 school budget. So instead of is being allocated, say has been encumbered. I think that fixes it.
Okay,
The explanation is not binding on a town meeting article anyway,
sure,
but it just would potentially draw up some confusion.
I appreciate the clarity, thank you, Nick.
Sure. Has been our practice.
Sure. We can?
Me?
Sure.
Okay. Paul, any efforts in regards to getting assistance from the state in regards to the timeline between our meetings, our local meetings and our town meeting? The possibility of moving that town meeting if we need it up to give you more of a window?
It would be very difficult. We have spoken with the MSBA. They can't act until they have the insurance
Okay,
document, the report. And now we gotta move immediately to, if we need funds, to that July meeting. They said they will try to help,
okay.
but their timeline to do a summer type project, that would be really difficult under the MSBA to do that, to do an emergency project that quickly. It just takes them longer. They have to send in their engineers, they have to review the entire project. So I wouldn't hold out hope that we would get MSBA funding.
Okay, I think I may have been confusing with my question. In regards to, can we get any, due to posting, et cetera, after the local meetings have been, gone through all the procedures, and then we'd have to post for an emergency town meeting?
Yeah.
Is there any help from the state in regards to closing that window? So it could be earlier in July perhaps, which gives you more time to get things accomplished afterwards.
That's sort of out of my realm.
Okay.
That's really in the town's realm. They've looked at this as the select board dates is what they need in order to do the earliest possible, July 20th. I think it's a proposed date. To do it earlier, they have to push everything else up further. So there's a notification period that they require from their end. I think the defining point is we want to make sure that we have time to get this insurance report.
Okay,
So I don't think pulling it up further helps us on that.
you're just gonna be under a real
Yeah.
time crunch.
Yeah.
So regarding the money aspect of this, you know, it has to be fixed, so I'm supportive of that. But I have an overarching concern, which is the building's safety. And I'm looking at it as if I had a child at North Falmouth, and I know we've heard multiple times the building is safe, and I have, you know, I absolutely trust, but there's trust and verify. To me, if I were a parent, you know, Principal Vieira has sent out some really excellent communication that's been very specific, but it would be much more reassuring if the name were attached to whomever is saying that the building is safe. Is it the town of Falmouth building inspectors? Is it a particular engineering firm? I think that that's important information to communicate to parents, not just the building is safe. And I would like to hear that as a school committee member. The other thing is, I think several of us have questions about the roof project. And I know that that's not something you are prepared to talk about tonight, but we do have to have that conversation, and we can't have it in an executive session. That's not one of the criteria for meeting an executive session, so we have to have it in open meeting. So I'm hoping that we hear some more specificity on just exactly who is saying the building is safe, and I'm hoping that communication will go out to parents in the community.
And let me assure everybody, there are now 2 structural engineers that have reviewed it and made that determination. That is not coming from us. That the structural engineers that have been present in the building, including this weekend, have made that determination. With the exception of the rooms that we mentioned, room 40 and room 30.
I mean, just stating the obvious, this absolutely stinks. I mean, the building is beautiful right now, and, you know, we did all this beautiful work, it's all, you know, and I just feel for the teachers because they were uprooted last summer, and now they're gonna get uprooted again. And, you know, it's just so not ideal. So one of my concerns is just making sure that we can communicate with the community, especially town meeting members, how this is all, how did you describe that these things are sort of happening in parallel? Because when it appears on the select board agenda that we're gonna have a special town meeting, if then suddenly we're not having one, everybody's gonna just be wondering what the heck is going on. So maybe a communication, you know, to town meeting members about why it's happening in this way, and it's about, you know, the window and the insurance and all those moving parts, I think might be helpful so that people aren't confused.
Yep. Let me close the microphone. Thank you, Paul, and thank you for, I went over there, the engineer, all that good stuff. But to Kelly's point and to Glenda's point, I'm gonna marry these two together. So would it be possible, this is communication-wise, to get the engineer to kind of explain to both town meeting members what's going on and the parents? So then one group is like, oh, we have to fund this, and the other group is like, oh, my kids are safe. Just an idea. And I did see the emails from the principal, which were good, and you had sent out one, or you had sent out one weeks ago. But I just think that the more communication, especially to put parents at ease and also to get the town meeting members to understand, like, this is why we're doing this, would be beneficial. But other than that, thank you, Paul.
To be honest with you, I enjoyed the same thing, to have them, the emphasis has been on evaluating the building up until this point, and evaluating the solution for it. So, and just recognized Saturday, the latest structural engineer was by there, and I'm glad we have a second opinion on this, because I think it's critical to have that independent opinion of it. We do want to get something from them. We are under a time crunch. It's Tuesday, we just got through this on Saturday. We are working towards that. So, and to have a meeting where they presented, I would welcome that. For us to communicate what they find as structural engineers, that's a challenge for me, for the next guy. So, yeah, I'd be happy.
Jane.
No, I was just smiling at that.
It's okay.
It's like, thank God I'm right.
Margaret? No, Katrina?
Where were the structural engineers from? Were they from the town and the insurance company, or both?
No, they're two separate firms. One, Lynn Consultants, that we used initially. And then second is the structural engineer that was sent in by Maya. MIIA is the insurance company, it's referred to as Maya. But I'd have to look at the firm's name.
should we have the town building inspector? I don't know what is
Building-
ordinary for.
Building
your sort
inspector's been at the building several times, 3 times.
of- Is there anybody else that should look at it, in your opinion?
I think right now, we have 2 very solid opinions with structural engineers. What we need is the solution defined, and then move forward with funding. I don't think there's a question about a problem. I think we need to find the reinforcement mechanism for the trusses. So, but I mean, the town building inspector is well aware of the situation. He was there this morning with me.
And he or she also feels that it's safe for students to be.
Yeah, they listen to the engineers involved at each step. So when we had our engineer review the plans, the building inspector was there reviewing the plans, the temporary reinforcement and the long-term solution. And again, result of the most recent Saturday's visit, and he's waiting on the report as well from Maya's engineer.
If I may, I would feel better as a parent, having a name attached to it. I mean, not that I don't trust everyone, but, if it were my kids in that building, I'd wanna know
Yeah,
who's putting their, I just, for all the reasons, so. That's my thought. Anyone else? No? Great. Thank you very much, Paul. Oh, yes. Is there a motion to act on the town meeting article that has been amended to say the total estimated cost of the structural repairs of $1,900,000 in addition to the above funding sources, $200,000 has been appropriated from FY26 budget?
Encumbered, I thought it was.
I thought you said appropriated. I said encumbered and I thought, sorry about that.
You're talking about both, yeah, you're right.
Okay. $200,000 has been encumbered from the FY26 school department operating budget. It is anticipated that the total cost will be further offset by insurance proceeds. The amount of insurance coverage is not known at this time. Is there a motion? Thank you, Kelly. Is there a second?
Second?
Any additional comments, concerns? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes, thank you. Moving on to act on the superintendent evaluation. Sharon?
Yay, first one for the kitchen. Yeah, there we go.
At your seat, yes, Margaret?
I move that we move the evaluation up a month. That's my motion, and my rationale is that we have 2 new members of the school committee who have not had time to look at the evaluations or to review them. When I was first on this committee, the same thing happened, so my motion is, and I talked to MASC, we do not have to do it tonight. Matter of fact, I was told we could do it 2 or 3 months from now. I think 1 month should give them time to review the evaluations, so, because they will be entitled to vote.
Is there a second to Margaret's motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Mike?
We have policies in our own policy manual for the school committee that these are supposed to be done before the spring election. So delaying it any further, I don't think makes sense. And no offense to Jane or Nick here, but I believe that their role on the evaluation would just be scoring the process.
Correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, if people want to, that's fine, I'm not in favor, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Jane?
I just want to state that I wouldn't be comfortable voting even in the month.
That's fine.
You know, I think in fairness to Dr. Bear, I think you know, I would need to be here for a year to familiarize myself with the evaluation tool to see any evidence that was submitted to support her evaluation, to really learn and understand the tool itself, and so I just think in fairness, it's not appropriate for me to.
That's okay. Linda?
Can I just read what I believe that everyone on the committee received from Town Council O'Keefe? Any municipal board, like the school committee, operates as a corporate body, meaning the committee operates as a whole with interchangeable members over time. It is expected that newly elected or appointed members will vote on prior business that occurred before their election or appointment. Abstention is not required unless a member believes that they are unable to do so because they have insufficient information to vote in an educated manner. So I believe that was forwarded to every member of the committee.
Thank you. Anyone else, comments?
Could I just follow up on your statement? So I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't feel that. Because even in looking at some of the scores, I'm struggling to understand how there can be such a disparity on some of the scores from needs improvement to exemplary. Is it the tool, is it the evidence, is it the process? And I'm just not sure any exploration into those themes on my end could be solved in a year, in a month. I'd rather have part of our process be to look at the tool before we implement it.
Sure.
And ask what evidence we would want submitted to support the tool and so forth. And again, just in fairness to Dr. Dar, I think.
I have a couple things to say. One, that we'd be voting on the summative, not the individuals. It would not necessarily be what was in or how it got here, like how we came to this document that you see today, but more of you've received the document and you've reviewed it with the presentation available if we want to look at it. Mike is right that we are out of our policy for the superintendent, and in my opinion, we're not doing her a service by I don't want to say kicking it down the curb, because I hear what you're saying, Margaret. But I also feel like this has been picked at and we need to land this plane so that we can all move forward, kind of thing, in my opinion. As far as the getting yourself familiar, Jane, with the tool, I can 100% appreciate that and hear what you're saying. It was a clunky process this year for a variety of reasons. In past years, it has not been this clunky. And again, it was for a variety of reasons, and I don't want to call out any specific reasons. I've done a smidge of research, and other districts in the state don't have an evaluation team. They use the tool. There is one person, usually the chair or the secretary, who compiles, gives a presentation, and then does the summative evaluation of which is discussed in public. So perhaps that's something that this committee could consider in the future. So those are just my thoughts on this. Again, I think this should have been voted prior to the election, but we cannot go back. So right now we have a motion and a second on the table. So if everyone feels it's okay, I'd like to see if we can vote on Margaret's motion.
Could you just restate the motion so I can be clear?
Margaret, go ahead.
Yeah, I move that the evaluation be put out for him so that the new members can review the materials, all of the materials.
Okay. And there was a second by Susan. Okay. All in favor? Margaret? All opposed? Any abstentions? Nick? Okay, the motion doesn't pass. Sharon, could you please put the superintendent summative evaluation up on the screen, please? At your seats, you will see the summative evaluation as presented. You will also see the corrected redactions from a single evaluation that you had received in the original large packet of the individuals. Please be respectful and replace what this document is replacing and destroy it appropriately. Thank you. Go ahead, Sharon. We can all kind of follow along. The first page is the end of cycle summative evaluation report as compiled by the evaluation team with Terry as the evaluator, as the chair. The next page is the performance goals. And again, I should say, forgive me for being clunky on this because I did not put this together. I was not on the evaluation committee, so I'm doing my best. The student learning goals, the professional goals, goal 1 and goal 2. The next page shows district improvement goal, and that's goal 3. The next one is district improvement goal 2, and that is listed as goal 4. And the last page is the end of cycle summative evaluation report that shows proficient. And former chair, Ms. Medeiros, has chosen not to put any evaluator comments. So at this time, I would just like to say that I would like to put some guardrails around. I know that everyone has been itching to say all the things that they want to say. We are past due of when this should have been presented. We have failed, in my opinion, we failed the superintendent by not providing her with a summative evaluation before the election. That being said, I think it's important that we have a very brief discussion on this. I want to remind the committee that your personal evaluations that you made to the superintendent were your personal comments. So I'll use myself as an example. I did an evaluation. The comments I made for the superintendent were for the superintendent. Yes, they are a matter of public record, and the public can certainly go and look at them, but my comments are not for the public. My comments are for the superintendent. So I want to just remind everyone of that, and I also want to remind everyone that it's not easy being evaluated ever, and then having it be on TV and in public. So while I understand that this past year has not been easy for anyone, and I'm sure that there are lots of strong conversations that we would like to hold and have, I would like to be graceful about this and remind ourselves that we are all humans here and that we are all respecting each other at the table. So if you would like to make a very brief statement, I also would like to say that if your personal evaluation has any sort of redactions in it, please do not read them and please do not rephrase them. That is all. Mike, do you want to be, or Kelly, do you have a question on the process? Or
No, I was gonna make a motion to accept it so we can discuss it.
That's great.
I make a motion that we accept the summative evaluation.
Okay. Okay.
Then we can discuss.
Can I, so just to clarify, accepted means accepting that the overall rating? Is that what or we're just accepting that we're moving on to discussion?
We are accepting that we are,
The summative that we got at our seat.
So that so I would like to make a comment about the overall rating. So
we can.
I don't know if we're voting to accept that summative now, or if we're just moving on to discussion.
So I don't want to get stuck where we have been stuck before. So right now, there's a motion on the table and a second for discussion of this. If at the end of the discussion, you do not feel comfortable voting the evaluation, you don't have to vote for it.
Okay, so it's
vote it
just
down.
for, a motion for discussion, that's, okay, that's.
Yep, and then
Okay.
at the end
No,
of discussion.
that's not what I moved. I moved that we accept the summative that we have at our seat. And then, like a regular motion.
Okay,
Am I?
No, yeah, I think what you're saying is you're moving to accept the summative.
Yeah.
It's been seconded. People can talk for it or against it, that's their choice.
correct.
That's, but the motion's on the floor, but you can talk for it or against it, that's the choice that one has.
That's what I thought.
And then we will vote after discussion to approve it, or to, excuse me, to accept it or not accept it.
Thank you.
Okay. Mike, would you like to start?
Yeah, just one point, not about the individuals or the process, and I actually took notes, but I'm not gonna say my notes unless I keep it short.
Thank you.
The one thing I will say is that the regulations from DESE state that standard 1 needs improvement, the overall has to be needs improvement. So I cannot vote for this evaluation as presented because it goes against the DESE standards. And that's all I have for that.
Thank you. Kelly?
I just wanted to highlight the first sentence in my comments, which was that I think in 12 or so years on the committee, I have never had an overall rating of exemplary for a superintendent, but I did this year. And that is taking into account consistent fiscal security, recent contract negotiations that ensured staff retentions, continuing to be taking the lead in incoming school choice students, and the list just goes on and on and on. But taking all of that aside, I agree with what you had said at the start. You know, I feel like when I looked through the individual evaluations, what I felt was that almost what Jamie said, you know, there's so much discrepancy, it makes me think that, you know, it was our problem, you know, that somehow the process wasn't smooth, we weren't clear, we didn't set clear expectations from the start, and, you know, that we sort of failed in that. And so if we, as a group, can, you know, hopefully commit next year to, from the very beginning, being more well-defined, more clear, and more collaborative in it, I think it'll have a better result than this bumpy process that we've had this year.
Thank you.
Again, to support what my colleague, Mr. Halen said, that legally, the law, it's a regulation, that 604 CMR 35.04, to be rated proficient overall, an administrator must be, at minimum, rated proficient on standard 1. And I just want to read the criteria for needs improvement, which will justify why I gave a needs improvement on that. Identifies multiple sources of evidence related to student learning to assess the district's strengths and areas for improvement, but these data are not comprehensive and/or analysis is insufficient or inaccurate. Uses appropriate data to make some, but not all decisions related to organizational performance, educator effectiveness, or student learning. And that is the crux of what Standard 1 requires of a superintendent. And we had quite a conversation about the necessity to be presented as a committee with student achievement data to be better informed and to use that decision to drive instruction and to use it to evaluate all of our schools. So that is why I gave a needs improvement.
Thank you. Susan?
I have to agree with Kelly and Janie, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Katrina?
Can I just ask a process question, because last year we were told that if we hadn't read from our individual evaluations, they were not public, so can anyone clarify that for me? Like Mike and Susan did not read, does that mean that theirs are not public?
They're all public.
They're all public. Everything's public.
Last year there was a lot of confusion, so.
Yeah, but we did, I had to follow, I didn't know, so I followed up with Andy Wall last year to find out that they are.
So the document that was handed out to us at the meeting when we first got this is already public. So this is not going to be a happy-making comment, but my document has been redacted. And it was redacted when it was handed out initially, and it has been further redacted here in these handouts. And I fully understand why someone would want to redact my document. But the reason for the redaction does not stand up. I have been waiting for further clarification from our legal counsel. I don't believe it's the responsibility of someone on the committee to redact my document and my comments. And the reason I don't believe that is because it pertains to executive session, and the reason for going into the executive session is no longer valid or ongoing. So from that standpoint, this cannot be redacted, it's not confidential. The other reason is that it's it's complicated and messy. I won't get into it, and I will abide by what you said, Melissa, but this should not be redacted. And also, and what I'm just gonna go back before I read from mine briefly. The original document that was handed out to us, I understand that it was a mistake and that this should have been in there and somebody didn't redact mine fully. They redacted only the first page. That is a public document. I'm not going to destroy the document that was handed out to us in a public meeting. Anybody can make a record request.
Katrina,
for that
I hear what you're
document.
saying. I totally hear what you're
So
saying,
you
and
can't tell me
I
to destroy
appreciate
it, you can't tell us to destroy a document that is public.
except Katrina, we're asking you to be graceful on this.
I'm going to continue to be graceful, but
The
this is
evaluation
unacceptable.
team, as I was told, got legal guidance for the redactions. This was not personal. I have no horse in this race other than I'm trying to just uphold what little we have right now, quite honestly.
I never saw that
So-
with the council, and the council I asked for
I'm
did
sorry
not
that you
address
didn't see,
this.
that is a process problem, but unfortunately, that is not anything that we can control right now tonight.
Well, somebody could have forwarded that to me.
You're right.
You were doing that.
Correct, but I'm not the someone, and right now, I'm trying to run a meeting, and I'm just trying to get us all through.
This is not personal to you, Melissa.
Thank you. And I hear what
agree
you're
that it was
saying.
very clunky, but
I
if
hear what
there
you're
was
saying.
legal counsel that validated and
Correct.
excused this and gave a reason for it, I never saw it.
Okay,
And the
that's,
original document
that's a
was not
problem.
redacted like this. And so
Correct.
the public should ask for the original document. Because it's
they're
public.
not going to get it.
Great, okay, so moving on. I agree with my colleague, was it you or you? One of you said, we had what needs improvement, 5 of them for standard 1, and whatever that little law at the back page of DESI says, this should not be proficient according to that. I'm not a lawyer, and every lawyer has a different opinion, it seems. So I will just read briefly from my comments on the first page. From one section, the accountability data could have been handled differently and reviewed as a normal standard part of the school's annual DESI report review. Beep. The superintendent could have reviewed the data in a matter-of-fact analysis and conducted a public discussion of best ways to improve our progress toward accountability target ratings. She refused, despite the fact that other districts do this routinely during their public meetings every year. This was a missed opportunity to share her professional insights, analyze the bright spots and areas for improvement, and bring the district together around a productive and proactive goal of bringing our district and individual school ratings up.
Thank you. Margaret?
Okay, I want to say that I do think the evaluation is really a reflection more of us than the superintendent. I also want to say that I talked to Glenn Kutchner and to Sean, and I've also talked to other district chairs, and they have clearly said, number one, that we couldn't postpone this, but also that deciding about proficient is done by the person who does this. And so it is, as it has been said, there are various ways to do this, and so it was done that way. I also want to say that last year, I gave the superintendent a lot of, the last category. No. Last year, I gave the superintendent, yes. get through this. I gave this exceeding. And it was said at the meeting, that in fact, normally, proficient is quite good. And so this year, I said, okay, proficient is quite good, I will do basically proficient. And actually, before I left, because I went away for a week, I met with superintendent and said to her, I'm not going to give you the kind of evaluation I gave you last year, because in fact, I've been told, and I felt somewhat chastised last year, that I had done, I had done that. And so I let her know that. I was away and I was getting the evaluations. And as we're coming in, I was very surprised. And so I asked for a phone conference with the superintendent. And I said, I do apologize. I see that obviously exceeding expectations is what other people have done. And so maybe, I do not feel, since I've seen other evaluations, that I should change mine. I think that's unethical. But I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you, Margaret. Jane?
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Sean always tells us what questions are good to ask, and I think it's very important for us to know what our roles are and what questions we ask. That in fact, we have certain questions, and it's the superintendent's job to follow up and operationalize them. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Margaret. Jane?
I have so many thoughts, but I'm not going to share them. But mostly, what I'm feeling as I'm sitting here is that I feel badly for all of you. Your commitment to want to serve the town of Falmouth and the students is admirable. I'm not sure where the train went off the tracks, but obviously it has. So as I stated earlier, I don't feel I can participate in this, but I will say that I'm happy to help this coming year. I'm happy to be on whatever subcommittee you need me to be on. I've had experience with all of this. But I think if we make the process better, and we will have less disparity and more uniformity in the process itself, and hopefully we'll come to the same outcome, so that if we can focus on true evidence and true data and not opinion or feeling, then we should have some integrity in the process.
Thank you, Jane. If I may, I have given evaluations through all the years I've been sitting at this table, and I take extraordinarily pride in them. I try to stick to data, I try to stick to facts. If ever there was a time that I didn't agree with something that the current superintendent or previous superintendent was doing throughout the year, I always gave them the benefit of the doubt at the halfway mark, or perhaps along the way, to say, I don't really agree with what you're doing. I feel like you could have done this differently, or how can we fix this relationship? So for the people that want to wait till the end of evaluation to spring things out on the superintendent, it's really unfair. And if you had conversations along the way, then I think that your evaluation is admirable. So I defend my evaluation because I had multiple conversations with the superintendent along the way. It has been a rocky, rough year. I am hopeful that we are moving forward this year. I truly think that we failed as a committee for not making this evaluation happen before the election, as it is in the superintendent's contract. That's on us. I hear everyone's frustration, and quite honestly, Jane, I don't know where the wheels fell off the wagon either, and I've been here the whole time. So I think the way that we move forward is that we tomorrow start again and come back to the table and say, this is a new year, this is how we're going to make it better this year, and we put our best foot forward. I don't know how else to do it, I really don't. So those are my thoughts on that. Is there any further discussion on the evaluation, the summative evaluation? Seeing none, for clarity, I think we should do a roll call vote. Mike,
Healing, no.
okay?
Well, Jess,
Cohen, no?
Sue?
Augusta, yes.
Lowell abstain.
Okay.
Nevin, no.
Yes,
Norton abstained.
Melissa Keefe, yes. So we have Mike, no, Kelly, yes. Linda, no. So we have 1, 2, 3. Am I reading that right? 3 no's?
4 or 3, I think.
Hold on. Mike is a no, Kelly is a yes, Glenda is a no, 1, 2.
You got 4
Katrina is a no,
4 to 3.
1, 2, 3. The motion carries. Okay,
Can I just ask a process question?
please.
How do we square the legal requirement with our vote? Is that something that we need to get guidance from legal counsel on?
I think that's a great question, Glenda. And I think that perhaps figuring out which legal counsel we are going to get it from.
That's crucial.
And again, that needs to be part of the new foot moving forward.
Perhaps
If
the
that's
new,
fair.
whoever is the chair can take that as an action item maybe?
That's a great action item.
Okay.
can I ask a question? I
Sure.
don't understand. We're gonna get legal counsel on the vote?
Because it's against regulations, what we just did, which is illegal.
Why is it against regulations?
Because it's.
I don't wanna speak out of turn, but,
That's okay.
Right here.
so because DESI has regulations that when you do a summative evaluation, you have to follow certain steps and processes. And one of those is standard 1, if it's a needs improvement, which it was 5 to 4, then standard 1 needs improvement, the overall needs to be by regulation, and Glenda said a number, yeah. It needs to be needs improvement. So by us just approving a proficient evaluation, it goes directly against the state regulations. So that was my concern on us doing this at the time.
So what MASC told me, Glenn and Sean, is incorrect?
And that's why we're moving on. And that's why tomorrow is a new day and we are going to figure out who we are going to talk to legally, one person, not multiple. And this is how we put our ship in the correct position moving forward. I don't know how else to say it. Moving on. Act on the medication delegation procedures.
So we voted a policy around the med delegation some time ago. This procedure, not all procedures come to the school committee. However, in the regulations on this, the procedures also have to be voted by the school committee. So you've adopted the policy. The procedures were written by Dr. Parkinson and our head nurse, Sharon O'Connor, and reviewed by Sandy Capson-Bellis and Mary Gans as legal counsel. So they do align, they're in your packet. I don't know if anyone has questions. It did go to policy subcommittee. Policy subcommittee reviewed and recommended that it move to the full school committee. Also, because of the timeline and needing to get these put into action, it is not a first read and then an act. We move straight to an act because you approved the policy for the timeline.
Are there any, go ahead, Kelly.
I have 2 questions. So number 2, under medication orders, this is the first page, number 2. The last line said that the medication order, it says medication order from a licensed prescriber shall include, and the last bullet says diagnosis or condition if deemed confidential. And I'm guessing it means unless deemed confidential, because you wouldn't want it in there if it's confidential. Am I reading it right? Because there's another place that happens later where it says
Correct.
unless deemed,
Yeah.
right?
You're right.
Sandy, are you?
Yeah,
What do
she's
you
looking,
think?
she's
You think?
looking.
So,
I think that's right.
can I speak to that? Just as a professional? As a professional, everybody who would be privy to this order from the physician has been HIPAA trained, and putting a medical condition, it falls under HIPAA, so everything is confidential. Even the student's name associated with the medication all falls under HIPAA, so I feel like if deemed confidential or as it is unless confidential later, that doesn't make any sense to me. Because any and all medication or medical record of any kind is protected by HIPAA,
Well,
including the
for-
entire.
For the school.
Yeah, not gonna.
Okay.
Well, I'll defer to Sandy on that one. I noticed it because later on it says unless,
Oh.
so
It should always be.
unless confidential.
No, it should always be confidential. Unless FERPA is different than HIPAA. Has different guidelines in HIPAA, I should say.
Okay, so then I'd like it to say unless confidential on that one. And then there's one other spot further down under self-administration. The last bullet, the sentence doesn't read right. So it says, if requested by the school nurse, the licensed prescriber provides a written order for the student's self-administration as monitored basis. It's like something happened there.
Hold on, where are you going?
Under self-administration. Sorry, I don't know what page.
That's okay.
There's a little star there.
Yeah, there's like a
Something's
little,
missing.
last bullet has a star at the end of it. It looks like something either is supposed to be in there or got cut out, or I don't know what happened.
Unless it's supposed to be, if requested by the school nurse, the licensed prescriber provides a written order for said prescription.
Oh, like blank,
Like
blank.
insulin or.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Or.
And then the next sentence just starts, the student
Right.
administration. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm just thinking of prescriptions that a student would self-medicate for, like an inhaler or insulin.
So maybe it just needs to be another bullet. The next one would be the next bullet.
Like
Because then it's-
starting,
where it starts, the student self-administration is monitored, because then it's talking, that whole paragraph is talking about monitoring.
got it.
Okay, so the unless line and then adding a bullet for the student self-administration monitoring.
Okay. Anyone else? Comments?
Melissa, do you feel good about it?
I do now. Thank you, Kelly, for seeing that. This was, Glenda, we definitely didn't have this at policy. So I appreciate,
You didn't have it at policy?
we had it, but not in this, format. We had it, but just not in this format. All right. Is there a motion?
Oh, can I ask one other?
Sure.
So this also crosses over with the policy that we did about administering epinephrine before. Is that now bundled under this, or are they separate things that we did back in the winter for administering epinephrine?
That all goes along with this.
Okay, so that's like tucked inside this, okay.
I'll move to accept it as edited.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Nick? Okay. Okay. Great. Moving on to reorganizing the board. So, in years past, we have, again, just for clarification, had the sitting chair do the reorganization. Our sitting chair did not seek re-election, we have had this in the past. And the vice chair in that past also did not seek re-election, so the secretary did the reorganization of the chair, and then it was handed over to the superintendent. Our policy states otherwise. Our policy states that if the chair is not available and the vice chair, that the secretary would run the meeting. As a reminder to the email that I sent this morning, Glenda has asked me to run this, and I'm happy to do it. So, are there any questions on that process or our policy? Seeing none, why don't we open up the nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate myself.
Are there any other nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate Lisa Keith.
Are there any other nominations for chair? Is there any discussion?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember what we did last year. Did everybody, as they voted, say why they were voting?
But then we had to stop because we all have to discuss before we vote. Because
Oh.
remember, it's like I say
I'm
something.
sorry, what?
If we're gonna have to, we have to discuss first and then vote one at a time. You can't discuss and then vote, yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So just for a point of clarity, so the nominees, whether self-nominated or peer-nominated, they don't discuss or state why they would be a good chair or
We can do
experience
that.
or-
We can definitely do
It just
that.
would be helpful to me, and I don't want to speak for Nick.
We can definitely do that. I'm sort of, yes, we can definitely do that. I was sort of in the position of, were there any other nominations for anyone else for chair? No. Kelly, would you like to state your reasons why you should be chair?
Sure. I think, I've been chair before, so I'm familiar with the process of trying to manage the meetings, get things on the agenda, manage difference of opinion. And I think, we so very much need, to be able to work together over the next year, and that's what I wanna focus on. I have the time to do it. I feel like I'm, been on the committee a long time and I'm prepared to do so.
Please.
So I agree that we need to hit the ground running with somebody who has experience on the school committee. But we also need someone who is going to respect the policies, regulations, and laws that pertain to our functioning. I've served on the policy subcommittee with Melissa, and I know that she takes policy very seriously. And we need to reestablish trust and transparency with the community. And this following policy, following law, not violating open meeting law is an important step toward doing that. I'd also like to state a second reason why I'm supporting her. It's no secret that Melissa and I have clashed in the past. However, we both recognize that we can't do business as usual and expect to get anything done. We're both pledging to work together because parents, and especially students, deserve better. And I think that she has demonstrated a willingness to allow committee members, even those with dissenting opinions, to be heard. And I think that that's an important part of moving forward as a committee. So for those two reasons, I'm supporting my colleague Melissa Keith.
I appreciate your kind words. Does anybody else have anything else to say?
Yeah, I'll speak as well. I know everyone at home that doesn't watching are very upset that no one nominated me. Maybe next year, guys. I am gonna support Melissa. I've known Melissa a long time, she's been on this committee a long time. And I'm gonna echo, not to the extent of Glenda, but me and Melissa have had differences, but she does always let me talk. That's all I really care about, so thank you for that. And that's all I'm gonna say. Oh, also, I see Melissa all the time at events and stuff, so she is out in the community a lot and does talk to a lot of parents, which I think is good. And, that's it. Thank you.
Katrina?
I had initially, over the past year, thought that I might try to run for the school, for the chair, but I can sort of see the writing on the wall that that would not pan out for me in this time. So I wish I had voted for you my first year when I was sitting here voting for people and I didn't know anybody. I think that would have been a good choice, and I liked the way you ran the meeting tonight, and I generally respect the work that you do, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? I am struggling on accepting the nomination for a variety of reasons. I am cautious about the time. I am going into a new role in my personal career, and my personal life has taken some unexpected turns as well. So I am very gracious for the nomination, but I feel as though I would not give it the same justice that Kelly would give it. Very reluctantly.
I think you should have said that in the beginning, if you
Well,
accept the nomination.
I appreciate your words.
Wow.
And please know this, Katrina, that something very monumental literally happened on my way here today. So some of this is completely out of my control. And I'm doing the very best to run this meeting the best I can. So I appreciate it, and I'm still grappling with all of it. Some things are just out of our control, try as we might.
So you do not accept the nomination?
I do not accept the nomination.
Can I nominate myself?
You can nominate
All
yourself.
right, I will nominate myself for chair. The reason I'm nominating myself for chair is because I feel very strongly that following the open meeting law, actually, or something, let's see. Hold on. I do not generally play political games, or manipulating and playing strategic games does not come naturally to me. It's very weird and clunky and uncomfortable. So for that reason, I think that I would be a trustworthy and straightforward person, even though I have not agreed with all of you. The open meeting law really, really matters to me, and I will do everything in my power to keep us in compliance and to maintain transparency according to all state laws and our policies. I do not withhold information. I will share whatever I am legally allowed to share with everyone on the committee. I have experienced the frustration of asking for agenda items repeatedly with no outcome over the last 2 years, and I will set up a system that you can all agree with or not agree with. We can work it out for all of us, a system that we can use to get everybody's agenda items at least onto a list that we've agreed on, and then try to fit them into the agenda that we have agreed on at the beginning of the year. And I think that's fair. It's something that I feel very passionate about, making sure that everybody's voice is heard. Working towards facilitating meetings. I watched Bob Antonucci lead the Building Needs Task Force meetings, and his manner of leading those meetings was so inspiring. I hope someday that I will be able to lead a meeting the way he did, listening to every voice, keeping the meeting going, recapping what was said and saying, was that correct? Did I say what everybody said? Is there anything else? I think his way is sort of my inspiration, and I will work diligently to ensure that the school committee has open and lawful communication systems in place for listening to the FEA. Importantly, they have asked for that, and it's in their contract. Listening and surveying parents, and importantly, listening and surveying students. We don't do that, and I think it's really important that we should start doing that, especially in the elementary schools. We hear a lot from high school, and as a parent of a second grader and a preschooler, it's really important for me that we start doing outreach to the parents and students who are younger, who are going to be impacted by the choices we're making. So that is why I'm nominating myself for chair. Thank you.
Anyone else? Comments? Margaret?
I have a comment, and it's not about any person. My first year on the committee, I felt somewhat, let's see, I don't know the exact word, but it seemed like, maybe what I said wasn't valued, maybe I'll use that word. And it's not that I think any person on the committee felt that way. And I had numerous talks with the chair of the committee back then. And one of the things the chair of the committee said is, everyone has a turn to be chair. But in fact, it takes a while to really learn what you do as a chair, as a school committee member. And I think that's really important for all of us to hear. And I know people come with different experiences, so I'm not going to minimize, we've got a former principal, we've got someone from the finance committee, I'm not going to minimize their experience.
Thank you.
I knew you'd appreciate that. Anyway, but I think that's important. And I know I've been to the conferences pretty much every year in summer institutes. And one of the things at the last conference, I went to 2 on-board meetings, onboarding new members, which is something I think we need to do better. And at those meetings, everyone who was there, who had been through a second term, said it takes a whole full term to really grasp what, in fact, a school committee member and their focus and their lane is. And actually, one of the women who's actually a district coordinator said, she said, I've been at school committee meetings forever, and I'm now in a new district, and I've got to learn that. There's a learning curve. And so I just want to make that general comment.
Thank you, Margaret. Seeing no more.
Can I speak? Thank you. I'm gonna support Katrina, now that Melissa's out of the race. I do know that there was a year that I tried to get agenda items on over and over again, and every meeting, it got shut down. When it was finally on the agenda, it was tabled, which I found out later on was unethical. We did have open meeting law problems with executive session. I think if we do want to move forward, we have to move forward, and Katrina, other than talking a lot.
You might hear less from me actually in the chair position.
That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Nick, did you have something? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I just want to thank you both for jumping in and nominating yourselves as for the chair job, because I know it's a very substantial amount of work. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is, I think it's really difficult for somebody that's new on the board to have to make this choice right out of the gate. So that's really challenging. 3, I don't know anything yet, but what I, from this committee, but I am very concerned about the budget. And it's my finance background, but I'm just thinking about the budget and I'm thinking about experience. And because of that, I will be supporting Kelly because she has a lot of years on town meeting, she's had a lot of years in the school committee, and we need to make sure that when we go and ask town meeting, when we go and ask the voters, we have just a lot of experience and know what we're doing, so we get all our ducks in a row. I will say one last thing, there have been a bunch of open meeting law things. I'm really not privy to all the details, I haven't dug into all that, but those are things that we can learn from, and those are very fixable. But experience is not something that you can just fix. So I support Kelly.
Please.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Jane.
Go ahead, Jane.
No, go ahead, thank you, Rob.
Oh, okay, so I, first of all, was very sincere in my words, and regardless of your position, will pledge to collaborate. So I just wanted to say that has not changed. Regarding the issue of experience, that I absolutely concur. However, there's a difference between experience for experience sake and experience doing things the correct and transparent way. And one or two open meeting law violations, as we've heard from legal counsel, you know, it's okay. But repeated violations, disregard, and admonishment by the Attorney General, that's a concern. And it's a concern that the community has expressed, and it's a concern that our committee should be concerned with. And so I think we know what has happened in the past, and if we want to move forward, it's important to have a fresh perspective. And again, the reason that I was supporting Melissa and the reason I will support Katrina is I think we need somebody who will respect our policies, regulations, and laws in terms of how we are functioning as a school committee. And if we don't have that, then it's going to be the Wild West, as it has been for the past 2 years since I've been on this committee.
Thank you, Glenda.
Melissa, this is not about me, but can I just add one more little thing? The chair position is a facilitator and a person who, the position is to empower each member of the committee to do their best as a committee member. And so, speaking for myself, I do not have as much experience as Kelly, you're right, Nick. But the position of chair doesn't give any more power than any one of you. It's the person running the meeting, which is just, the job description is just to empower each member to do their best to serve the students and to facilitate the meeting running smoothly and lawfully. So my lack of experience in the budget, and I am a town meeting member, but I don't have as much experience, you're right. But that's not critical to being the chair.
Thank you. Jane?
So once again, I have a lot of thoughts. Can I say them all? I guess I would ask as a new member, and hearing common themes repeatedly from everybody in terms of violating open meeting laws, respectful interactions, being denied agenda, all those, whatever, everything that's said, the Attorney General's thing. I guess I would ask each candidate to, you know, maybe share with us what steps they would take to ensure that these things don't happen again. How do we restore, without a brand new person in place, how do we restore faith in each other? How do we have the community believe that we're gonna be able to work together if there's still so much baggage that people have and trying to move forward? What steps could we take to put some of these things truly in our past to move forward? How, after unpacking everything, what would you do?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I think Terry made some good progress last year with trying to set up strategies and systems for running the meeting and for managing the oversight of being the chair and making sure that people were heard. And I would try to further that work by ensuring that everybody understands what's on the agenda, what's coming up, doing all the duties of the chair, of letting people ask questions and doing my best to answer them, but mostly, you know, having a really formalized process that we all agree on through a facilitated discussion. Maybe we could do it over the retreat, and if I'm not chair, I hope we can do this anyway, of how do you get an item on the agenda? How do you get a legal question answered? What legal person should you speak to? The questions that have come up over the last year, 2 years, many of them can be addressed by putting in place systems that, as I said before, ease and facilitate and empower each member to do their best. And so just having really clear guidelines that we all agreed on that make it so that each person can speak. So for example, the agenda, at the end of the meeting, I would ask for people's agenda items or further business, as it says on the agenda. I would take a list of those things, and then without taking a formal vote, I would say, you know, is there more than one person who's interested in this item? And if there is, it goes on a list, and that list is transparent, and everybody can see that it's there, and it gets updated, and as things are able to move on to the agenda, that process is transparent. If we have an executive session, making sure everybody understands what's going to be talked about ahead of time in the executive session, and if we go beyond that, stopping the conversation. So I don't know if that answers your question, but those are some concrete things I can think of that would help to ease our way through the year.
Kelly?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, of course. So I think, in terms of the agenda process, that was a process that I had in place when I was chair before. So people would mention a topic, I would say, if you want that similar topic, follow up with me after the meeting, so we wouldn't violate open meeting law in that moment, and we could get a feel for whether or not a lot of people were interested in a topic. So that was already a process that I had in place. But I think, really we need some training. We need to take advantage of the MASC field reps and have them come and work with us through these issues, through a process for identifying, how we get legal questions answered and who we ask, a process for setting up the agenda. Really, we should sit down, and this was something I did when I was chair last. Everybody at the retreat should be looking at the year-long agenda and weigh in then, so that we're not constantly reacting in the moment to topics for new agenda items when our agendas are already very, very full. And I think that would also help us stay in our lane a little bit, because we can't have everything that we're interested in on an agenda. Then that's how we end up in the weeds, talking about managerial things that are beyond our purview. I think it would help us a lot to rein in our agendas, to address our goals, the superintendent's goals, the district goals, and the things that are within our responsibility. So I think we need some outside help to get to that place, and that would happen in hopefully a series of retreats where we can take advantage of our MASC field reps.
Great. I think we're ready to vote. Mike?
Hale and Katrina.
I'll open this up.
Linda?
Cohen, Katrina.
Susan? Kelly? Nick?
Lowell for Kelly.
Thank you.
Nevin for Nevin.
Margaret?
Kelly.
Jane?
Kelly.
And I too for Kelly. Now, I'd like to open the nomination. So, to be clear, Kelly has won chair for the election. Congratulations. I'd like to open the nominations up for vice chair.
I'll nominate Katrina.
I nominate Melissa. I'll second that, if you accept it.
I will accept it. Sorry. Thank you.
Glenda, do you want to be nominated?
No.
Thank you.
No.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Does anyone want to speak to vice chair? I will speak on my own behalf. I truly appreciate the nomination for chair, and I fully intend on helping to right the ship, and I truly believe that tomorrow is a new day, and it's going to take all of us to work together to get over the hump of last year. And not just last year, the last year plus. I feel like I've sat at this table a long time and recognize that there are things that I still don't know. And that's why I still enjoy being here, because I do enjoy learning new things every day, about students, about buildings, about finances, about all of it. I would hope as your vice chair that I would do the very best that I could. As vice chair, one of the big roles that you have is setting up the retreat, among other things. And I have been thinking about things in the last week or so that I would like to see moving forward, specifically for the retreat. One being, who do we talk to for things? Who is the point person instead of having multiple point persons? And to have clarity with the committee so that everyone knows what we're doing so that we're not having 3 different answers from 5 different resources. We don't have 5, it's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying. So I would do my very best as your chair, as your vice chair, and I appreciate the nomination.
I also appreciate the nomination, thank you, Mike. I think one of the things that the vice chair does that I have really appreciated seeing how Terry and Glenda handled it in the last 2 years is responding to people's emails in a timely way where they know that we heard them and are considering their email and it doesn't just disappear into the void. And so that is a job that I would take very seriously, carrying on what Terry and Glenda have set up for that. The retreat also, I have suggested a nonprofit organization in the past that did Robert's Rules training, which could be extremely helpful for us to facilitate our meetings. And we've had some good retreats, and I can think of many ideas myself as well that would be good. And also, I think, you know, when I first joined the committee, Kelly and I got along very well. We've had a rough year, I think, but I remember leaving meetings and being like, Kelly, that was great. So, you know, I hope we can get back to that place, and I would like to work with you.
Any other comments? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
I just have a question.
Sure.
The vice chair's responsibilities on various boards can be a little bit different. Typically, they fill in for the chair when they're not around.
Correct.
And I understand on the school committee, they also respond to emails.
Yes.
Is there anything else that the vice chair has typically done, the school committee?
All of those, plus the retreat that we just talked about. And I would assume organizing any mini retreats or, what's the word I'm looking for, like,
Workshops.
thank you, workshops that we would need moving forward. I would foresee that we would need a number of them for a variety of reasons.
Can I just add a kind of an intangible that I think that Terry and I had last year was being a thought partner and maintaining the confidentiality of the chair. That's not in the job description, but it is important that the chair have somebody that they can bounce ideas off of, and that would maintain the confidentiality, agree, disagree, but always support the chair. So I think that that's kind of an unwritten understanding of the vice chair, but I think it's very important to have.
I couldn't agree more. I've been vice chair before and I've been chair before, and it's absolutely imperative that you have somebody that you can bounce things off of that will keep your confidence, and that you have to have that person. So I couldn't agree more. Excellent point. Anyone else? Seeing none. Mike, you want to start?
Halen, Katrina?
Okay.
Welch for Keith.
Going for Keith?
Sue?
Augusta Keith.
Nick?
Lowell. Melissa.
Are you sure?
It's
Yeah.
tough, I
It's
hated
the
doing this
worst.
the first time.
It's awful.
I hadn't even met you guys yet.
Katrina, yours, yeah, you got you for yourself, yeah.
Melissa,
Thank you.
Melissa.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I promise to do my very best, as I said, and I'm obviously running for myself as well. So, and I still am very grateful for the chair nomination, and it is with heavy heart that I decline that. Now, secretary,
Could I nominate,
please.
could I nominate Katrina Nevin?
Sure.
Just keep getting bumped down.
Don't look at it as bumped down. I love being secretary.
It's not
Secretary's a
like
big deal.
it's a demotion, I just keep getting bumped along the.
Just hold up your book.
I do keep notes, it's true.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Margaret.
Okay.
She's done it before.
Are we talking in support, or are we just putting names down?
Just put in names.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Excellent. Anyone else nominating anyone? Seeing none. Discussions? Brenda?
I nominated Katrina because I think everyone on this committee can acknowledge the copious notes that Katrina Nevins takes for everything. And it was really wonderful having both a secretary and a board member or committee member taking such notes, so we had such amazing documentation. So I feel like Katrina has proven her bona fides as far as being a scribe,
Too
and
many notes.
I think she would do a great job.
Any other comments?
I do take a lot of notes. I just had to transition to my third book since being on committee. That's all I'll say about that. And I think it would be beneficial to have somebody who does take a lot of notes to be the secretary, so that everything is recorded. And I do keep this completely confidential, so you can all trust nobody has ever looked in my notebook ever.
I would just like to say that for somebody that documents for a living, and everything I document is can be held up in court and is considered a legal document, taking accurate notes is weighs more to me than copious notes. So that's my comment on all things note-taking. Any other comments? Seeing none. Mike?
Hale and Katrina.
Kelly?
Cohen Katrina.
Augusta Margaret.
Oh, no, we need.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Here's me trying to do things so that later's on. I'm on you.
Going with Katrina.
Okay,
Nevin?
of course. Margaret. Jean? And Melissa is for Margaret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Margaret. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Katrina. Margaret is the secretary. Thank you. We've had the reorganization of the board, routine business.
So should we switch chairs now?
Oh, do we have to move to one?
We can
We
do,
only have one.
we can do whatever you want.
Congratulations to our new
Thank you.
Or just, you're gonna roll, finish that?
Yes, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely, you're on.
Okay, so, acting on routine, routine business, act on the May 12th, 2026 minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Kelly, is there a second?
Second.
Katrina? Any discussion?
Sorry, we're on the, which minutes?
These are from May 12th, 2026.
Yes.
Did you have questions?
No.
Okay, I brought them, in the event you have a question. No? And no discussion at all? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, just one thing, because, oh, no, it was accurately depicted here. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay,
Sorry,
not to
you're
worry.
good.
No,
You're
it's
good.
okay. So, motion seconded, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thank you very much. We're going to act on, is there a motion to act on the May 7th, 2026 minutes?
Who made the motion? Kelly?
I wasn't gonna make a motion because I wasn't there.
Oh, okay, I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Margaret.
If only all our meetings could be that short.
If,
3 minutes.
right?
No, of course I missed the one that
Any
lasted 3
discussion?
minutes.
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, the italics portion of this says that the committee packets available for the public can be found on the town website. I do not believe that's accurate.
We will make sure
I
that
went to
that
the
is
town
accurate.
website, I could see a link for the school committee packets, but that was a dead end.
Thank you very much. We will make sure that those are available. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Any committee member reports? Margaret?
Yeah, I belong to the diversity community meeting, and I'm sure Hannah will add to what I'm going to say. Talked about the day of belonging with the department chairs, but I think the important thing was that they're going to be doing a survey of all the equity teams to sort of listen to biases, what has been accomplished. They're going to gather data for what should be changed, and how the equity teams have been effective, and this data will set the agenda for next year.
Excellent.
That's all. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other committee member reports? Katrina?
It's not a committee, but I just wanted to second Lori's shout out for the Legally Blonde. I went with my daughter and it was wonderful. It was such a fantastic cast and great music and everybody was so talented and bright on stage. It was really great. Well done.
That's great.
I would second that. You know, if you have not gone to a high school production, you have missed. The high school productions are just outstanding. They really are, I think, one of the best productions in this town of Falmouth. Not negating other great talent here, but they are outstanding.
I think my daughter wants to be a set designer because of that. Because of that.
That's a very important part.
Yeah.
Normally, we would have any requests for additional information, but I'm going to leave that out and leave it for the next chair. This has been fun. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We're adjourned. All in favor? Any opposed? No. Okay, thank you.